It's him.
Well, Costello, I'm going to New York with you. You know, Bucky Harris, the Yanks manager, gave me a job for his coach for as long as you're on the team.
Hey, yeah, but if you're the coach, you must know all the players.
I certainly do.
Well, you know what? I've never met the guys, so you have to tell me their names, and then I'll know who's playing on the team.
Oh, I'll tell you their names, but strange as it may seem, they give these ball players nowadays very strange names.
You mean funny names?
Strange names, pet names, like Dizzy Dean and...
His brother Daffy?
Daffy Dean.
And their French cousin?
French?
Gouffet.
Gouffet Dean. I see. Well, let's see. We have on the badge, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
Well, that's what I want to find out.
I say who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
Are you the manager?
Yes.
You're going to be the coach, too?
Yes.
And you don't know the fellow's names?
Well, I should.
Well, then who's on first?
Yes.
I mean, the fellow's name.
Who?
The guy in first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's his name.
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
That's it.
That's who.
Yes.
Well, you got a first baseman?
Certainly.
Who's playing first?
That's right.
When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it.
Oh, I'm trying to find out the fellow's name on first base.
Who?
The guy that gets the money.
That's it.
Who gets the money on first base?
Every dollar. Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it for him.
Whose wife?
Yes. What's wrong with that?
Look, all I want to know is, you sign up the first baseman, how does he sign his name on the contract?
Who?
The guy.
Who?
How does he sign it?
That's how he signs it.
Who?
Yes.
All I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base?
No. What's on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
One base at a time.
Don't change the players
I'm
around.
not changing nobody.
Take it easy, buddy.
I'm only asking you, who's the guy on first base?
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, what's the guy's name on first base?
No, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
Oh, he's on third. Well, we're not talking about him. Now let's get back to first.
Now, how did I get on third base?
Well, you mentioned his name.
If I mention the third baseman's name, who did I say is playing third?
No, who's playing first?
What's on first?
What's on second?
I don't know.
He's on third.
There I go, back on third base again. Will you stay on third base and don't go off it?
All right, now what do you want to know?
Now, who's playing third base?
Why do you insist on putting who on third base?
What am I putting on third?
No, what is on second?
You don't want who on second?
Who is on first?
I don't know.
Third base.
Look, you got an outfield?
Sure.
The left fielder's name?
Why?
I just thought I'd ask you.
I just thought I'd tell you.
Then tell me who's playing left field.
Who's playing first?
I'm not staying out of the infield. I want to know what's the guy's name on left field.
No, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base. And the left fielder's name?
Why?
Because.
Oh, he's center field. What's the fella's name?
Look. You got a pitcher on the team?
Sure.
The pitcher's name?
Tomorrow.
You don't want to tell me today?
I'm telling you, man.
Well, go ahead.
Tomorrow.
What time?
What time what?
What time tomorrow are you going to tell me who's pitching?
Now listen, who is not pitching? Who is
I'll
on...
break your arm if you say who's on first. I want to know what's the pitcher's name.
What's on second?
I don't know. Third base. Got a catcher?
Certainly.
The catcher's name?
Today.
Today. And tomorrow's pitching.
Now you've got it.
All we got is a couple of days on this team. You know, I'm a catcher too.
So they tell me.
I get behind the plate to do some fancy catching. Tomorrow's pitching on my team, and a heavy hitter gets up.
Yes.
Now, the heavy hitter bunts the ball. When he bunts the ball, me being a good catcher, I want to throw the guy out at first base. So I pick up the ball, and I throw it to who?
Now that's the first thing you said right.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's all you have to do.
It's to throw the ball to first base.
Yes.
So if I throw the ball to first base, who's got it?
Naturally.
Look, if I get the ball and I throw it to first base, somebody's got to get it. Now, who's got it?
Naturally.
Who?
Naturally.
Naturally?
Naturally.
Okay. So I pick up the ball and I throw it to naturally.
No, you don't. You throw the ball to who?
That's what I said.
You're not saying that.
I throw the ball to naturally.
You throw it to who?
Naturally.
That's it.
That's what I said.
Listen, you ask me.
I throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
Yeah, you ask me.
You throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
That's it.
Same as you.
Don't change the
Same
ball.
as you. I throw the ball to who? Whoever it is drops the ball. The guy runs to second.
Yes.
Who gets the ball, picks it up, and throws it to what? What throws it to? I don't know. I don't know. Throws it back to Tamara. Troupe play.
Yes.
Another guy gets up. He hits a long fly ball to because. Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't give a darn.
What?
I said, I don't give a darn.
Oh, yeah, that's our shortstop.
Smithtown resident, South African ward Alfred Lister, entered a cab in Manhattan to return to his home at the estate of Edith Blydenburg, and has not been seen in several days. And now we return to WFBN's Murder Mystery Theater, brought to you by Schaefer Beer, the one beer to have when you're having more than one, and by Mr. Clean, cleans your whole house and everything that's in it. Tonight's episode, Murder at the Mansion.
My name is Detective Bob Katz. I was with the Suffolk County Police Department for over 30 years. I'm retired now, but in my day, I saw a good deal in a quiet town on Long Island called Smithtown. Most things were pretty mundane. Litter bugs, invisible trespassers, disorderly weekenders, and an occasional cat stuck in a tree. However, in the fall of 1967, that changed. My sergeant, Peter Rabbit, and I got what we thought was a routine missing persons case. It turned out to be one of the strangest murder cases in the history of this county.
The story begins in the sitting room of the Van Lanningham home, a quiet estate nestled in the suburbs of Suffolk County. The two heirs to the Van Lanningham fortune, Paul and Malcolm, are discussing the disappearance of Paul's best friend, Marcel. Marcel was joining Paul for a weekend of frivolity in the countryside.
He was supposed to be here 2 days ago, Malcolm. I haven't been able to sleep or eat or do anything.
Don't worry, Paul. Marcel is probably off on another of his larks. Maybe Monte Carlo, maybe London, or perhaps even Singapore.
We haven't seen him in over 2 months. He usually sends or calls or sends a postcard. Anyway, he's never missed one of our get-togethers before.
Do you suspect foul play?
Oh, I don't know what I suspect. There was that time he went to Hollywood for a screening, but that was just a career move.
I've got it! Yes, I do. He's eloped with a young debutante he's met in the Hamptons.
I highly doubt that.
You're probably right. Come to think of it, I've never seen him with a woman. Only with you.
What are you insinuating?
Nothing. I've seen you with lots of women. Not recently, however.
Is mother coming down?
You're changing the subject, Paul.
An elegant lady in her 60s walks in. It is Paul and Malcolm's mother, Ethel Van Lanningham. She is kind and thinks the world of her two sons, despite their faults.
Here I am. I was just watching the deer eating the apples in the orchard. They are so lovely. The deer, I mean, not the apples. Although I'm sure they are delicious.
Silly me. I thought they were Macintosh. Mother, Paul over here is still distressed. He cannot get Marcel out of his mind.
What if he was murdered?
Don't think that way. Who would want Marcel dead? He is so pleasant and polite.
Oh, no one knows him around here anyway.
Well, you know how much he dislikes illegal immigrants. Like Gretchen and Giacomo.
Well, that's because he's legal and feels everyone should be.
What if he said something about turning them in?
The police will be here any time now. We can talk to them about it.
You called the police.
No, not I. Paul has called the police 3 times. Once every 12 hours since Marcel did not arrive at our door as scheduled. They finally deigned to send someone.
Oh, I'm so nervous. Did they have any news?
How can they have any news? They haven't even started the investigation yet.
At least
Don't.
nobody has reported a body to the police yet.
Oh, well, I guess that's a bit of a relief.
You need a drink. Something to take the edge off. Actually, I need a drink.
Malcolm, do you think it is a good idea with the police coming? You know how you get sometimes.
And how do I get, Mother?
A bit sarcastic, sometimes even nasty.
The butler, Rowan Wakefield, enters. An elderly gentleman. He is prim and proper. Wakefield has been with the family for 40 years.
Oh, Wakefield, I'm so glad you are here. Could you bring me 3 brandies? 1 for Paul and 2 for me.
At your service, young sir.
And what about you, Mother? A little pick-me-up?
No. Thank you.
Oh, never mind, Wakefield. They're here.
Detective Robert Katz and Peter Rabbit.
Thank you for coming, gentlemen. My son, Paul, is rather frazzled by the disappearance of his friend, Marcel.
Understandable, Mrs. Van Landingham. I'm Detective Katz, a Bob Katz. This is my partner, Sergeant Abbott, Peter Abbott.
You may both call me Ethel. This is my elder son, Malcolm, and his younger brother, Paul.
Now, hello, young fellas.
All right, back at you. Your partner must be the strong, silent type.
You mean Sergeant Abbott here just takes notes, helps out as needed? Isn't that true, Sergeant Abbott?
Yes, sir, Lieutenant.
Oh, so you're a secretary.
A secretary? Why, who do you think? Are you specialists at finding missing persons?
Well, I don't know about specialists, but we do this all the time. It seems people go missing quite a bit in this, let's say, upper-class hamlet.
Most of the time they've gone on some drunken binge or run off with a woman other than their own wife.
Or man, Sergeant.
Oh, man. But once in a while, a kidnapping or,
Murder?
Oh, I can't listen to this.
Well, then let's not jump the gun. Usually it's not. We do, however, have to ask you a few questions, Mr. Van Landingham.
I suppose you mean Paul?
For now, but please stay for the festivities.
You may go, Wakefield.
Well, if you don't mind, I would like him to stay. You know the old adage, the butler did it?
It's your show, Detective. Make yourself comfortable, Wakefield.
Okay, Paul. It's not too presumptuous of me to call you by your first name. Otherwise, it might get a bit confusing with the 2 brother Van Landinghams present.
Oh, it's fine. Go ahead with your questions, Detective.
Definitely. Our crime fighters do not need to be any more confused.
Would you mind putting a sock in it?
Your wish is my command, Sergeant Gruesome.
Well, that's enough from both of you. Paul, when did you last hear from, what is his name again?
Marcel.
Would you give me the full name, please?
Marcel Henri Lebon. And just when I last heard from him, he was at the train station Friday evening around 6 p.m. He planned to hail a taxi cab and come right over.
And that's the entire story.
That's all I know. I haven't heard from him since.
Sergeant Abbott, would you share our latest findings?
Certainly. We got a hold of all 2 of the taxi services in the area. Turns out we were able to track down the driver who supposedly picked up Monsieur Lebon.
Continue. Wakefield will answer the door.
May I, Detective?
You may, Wakefield.
The driver picked up Marcel at 6:14 p.m. and dropped him off at the head of your driveway at 6:31 p.m. alive and well. Well, that's what he says anyway. The driver's name is Sean O'Malley. He's been driving a taxi in this town for 12 years. He's very well liked, except,
when he drinks too much at various celebrations.
The Van Weidenham's next-door neighbor, Dorothea, has entered the room. She is rich and dresses the part, but has more humble roots.
Well, isn't every day a celebration for the good old Sean?
Let me introduce you to our good neighbor, Dorothea Miles Wilburn, Thomas Ford Strethingham.
Good and nosy, that is.
I have a nose for news.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Miles Wilburn, etc., and so on.
Hello, Robert. Why do you insist on keep calling me Mrs. So-and-so? We are, after all, such good friends. We do so much business together, we really should be on a first-name basis.
yeah, she called the detective regularly to inform him about some intruder on her property. Always seems to be a false alarm. Those wild goose chases may explain why you two are not on a first-name basis.
I will ignore that. The fact is that the detective just never arrives on time. And lately, well, he doesn't arrive at all. You would think that after the time that I was forced to protect myself and use my husband's shot...
Thank you for reminding us about the accidental shooting of your third husband, Mr. Thomas, I believe.
Well, he shouldn't have been wandering around downstairs in the dark, rummaging through our papers with a flashlight.
Oh, yes, I remember. There was a power outage that night.
Still, it wasn't my fault.
Of course. Blame it on Lilko. Ha, ha, ha.
Madame, the cook says that lunch is served.
You all eat your lunch and enjoy. Wakefield, I believe that's your name? Gather all the staff that was around Friday evening at 6:30 p.m. yesterday and bring them to this room at precisely 2:30. The sergeant and I are going to take a look around the grounds. We will return here to meet with the entire cast of characters. First, we will finish with the Van Landinghams, then we'll get to the rest of you. Enjoy your lunch.
If we can keep it all down, right?
Why? Is there something you're worried about?
Marcel, Sergeant. What else could I possibly be worried about?
And now, a word from our sponsor, Schaefer Beer. The one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Schaefer's pleasure doesn't fade even when your thirst is done.
The most rewarding flavor in this man's world.
For people who are having fun.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Schaefer Beer! Now with a new snap-off cap. It's Schaefer, the one beer to have when you're having more than one. And now, back to Murder at the Mansion. A few minutes later, Wakefield enters with Mr. Sean O'Malley, the cab driver. He's a bit red-faced, but no worse for the wear.
Mr. O'Malley is here as you requested.
Earlier today, I got a call from the station. Mr. O'Malley seems to have an alibi. After he dropped off our missing person at the head of the driveway, he was not alone. Someone was out there working late.
Oh, who could that be?
Oh, come now. The suspense is killing us. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, just a figure of speech.
Why don't you do the honors, Sergeant?
No, it's your case.
No, well, why don't
You
you...
know, these two sound like Abbott and Costello.
You came up with the information, you tell them. Consider it an order.
Come on, you two. We can't take much more of this.
All right. The other poison was...
Come now. You're not going to let a little scream stop you?
Yvette, the new French maid, enters. She has been working for the Van Lanninghams for about 3 months.
Is dead.
All right. Calm down, Missy. Stop all this bawling. Who is dead?
Oh, that'll be enough, Sergeant. I'll go check the body. Take care of the young lady.
Oh, you poor girl.
The chauffeur, he is dead.
Damn. I was hoping to go to the polo matches tomorrow.
Malcolm, really? This is no time for your sarcastic sense of humor.
Yeah, Malcolm, be careful what you say. In my book, you're already a suspect. Oh, please, Inspector, ignore my brother. He puts his foot in his mouth all the time. Marcel and he got along famously.
Inspector Katz re-enters the room.
He's dead, all right. Large kitchen knife in his back and right through his heart. And yes, the dead man is the chauffeur.
You mean, was the chauffeur?
Poor Mr. Moto.
Well, that takes you off the hook, O'Malley.
That's what I told you. I may take a nip now and then, get into a few brawls, but I'm no murderer.
O'Malley, you sure it was the chauffeur you saw at the top of the driveway?
Sure, his name is Patrick. Mikkel. I can never remember my little name. Sure as my name is Sean O'Malley.
Get out of here before I run you in for drunk driving. How can you be sure the chauffeur was murdered? Dead? Knife? Back? Probably not self-inflicted.
Hey, Abbott! I've been wanting to say that all afternoon. Maybe there are 2 killers.
It's Sergeant Abbott to you, and maybe it's all a coincidence, Mr. Know-It-All.
Now, there's 2 things I'm sure of. The murderer is strong and is left-handed by the looks of the stab wound.
All right. He's take a deep breath and let out a sigh of relief.
Nobody leave this room. We need handwriting samples from everyone. Sergeant, go get the remaining suspects and get the handwriting samples. Have Wakefield get samples of the Van Landingham's letters, lists, or any other writings. Now we have something to work on.
By the way, Detective, how would the murderer know about Mr. Moto?
Because, Mrs. V, he or she was there at the scene of the drop-off and saw the chauffeur. Then, he or she saw the taxi driver come into the house earlier this afternoon. The chauffeur might have known something. And although the taxi driver probably did not see anything, the murderer could not take a chance that he might have seen
Him.
Or her.
Yes, or her.
I thought you said the murderer was strong.
You know, Mrs. V, some women are very, very strong.
That reminds me of my little sister. Actually, she was quite a big girl. She could beat any man in arm wrestling. She had arms like a steel worker, more hair on her body than me dad, and ties that...
All right, moving right along.
I get carried away sometimes, but I could tell you stories that would curl the hair.
Sergeant Abbott returns with writing samples in hand.
Wakefield, close the door, please.
Please do not close the door. I could not take someone bursting through the door to announce yet another murder.
All right, Malcolm.
Calm down, Mother. I'll stay with you.
Aw, her knight in shining armor.
Well, thank you for the writing samples, Sergeant. Take Mr. O'Malley outside, sober him up, put him in his car, and make sure he leaves.
Yeah, no problem, sir. I'll be right back.
Mrs. V, who's left in the house besides the people in this room?
Let me think. There is my neighbor, Dorothea, whom you met earlier, the cook, the gardener, and Wakefield. Wakefield, our...
There was a small car hidden in the trees, across from the driveway.
Oh, why didn't you say something sooner?
Because, Detective Sergeant, she thought you might have accused her of the murder with her questionable past. And you also know how paranoid she was.
Well, that's all and good, but withholding evidence is a criminal offense.
The lights flicker on and off and go out.
What's that?
Whoa, what's that? Oh, what just happened?
Take off to the police.
Oh, you must calm down, Yvette.
Bethel puts her arm around Yvette to calm her.
We must all remain calm, my dear. Everything will be fine. Detective Katz and Sergeant Abbott are here to protect us.
Oh, and they've done such a fine job so far.
Malcolm, sometimes I wonder if we had the same parents.
Yeah, I should invite the sergeant back here and have him knock your block off.
The cavalry comes in the nick of time. Wakefield enters with a flashlight and a tray full of candles.
You're a lifesaver, Wakefield. Can you put the handwriting samples on the center of the table, please?
Very well, sir.
We obviously can take out Dorothea's samples. Now we have two strong clues, a small car and these letters, and only 4 suspects. Meantime, Sergeant, don't let anybody leave while I look at the body.
I'll give her one thing. Mrs. Dorothea, with that long list of last names, had pretty nice handwriting.
With the help of the flashlight, Wakefield lights several candles and waits for further instructions.
Well, there was no sign of violence, no wound, no bruising. Her lips are moist, and there are signs of internal bleeding. It looks like Dorothea was poisoned by someone in this room.
Poisoned by one of my help?
Well, it certainly looks that way.
Sergeant Abbott, stand by the doors. Wakefield, place all the candles around the center table. The rest of you, sit or stand around the ring of light. Now we can begin. Since we know it's no one in this room when the murders happen, then we know
the Van Landinghams are free to go, so to speak. You must be very disappointed, Sergeant.
Not at all. I'll find another reason to lock you up.
Oh, I am devastated.
Be quiet.
With apologies once again, we interrupt this program for an update on the Alfred Lister missing case person. The police, after exhaustive work, have determined that there is no sign of foul play. His close friend and nephew, Edith Blydenberg, Henry Williams, is distraught over the loss. We now return to our regularly scheduled broadcast of Murder Mystery Theater. Detective Katz and Sergeant Abbott are still in the sitting room with the Landinghams and the remaining servants, or should I say suspects. Gretchen the cook, Giacomo the gardener, Wakefield the butler, and Yvette the maid.
we have determined by the notes that only 2 people are left-handed.
It is, how you say, a dark and a stormy night.
No, our afternoon in this case.
The storm is getting worse. It is getting so dark, it seems like nighttime.
Oh, well, let's get on with this. Who here is left-handed?
Patience. First, we called the station. They're running a check on cars registered to persons owning or renting small cars in the area. We should know soon.
No need, Detective. I know who owns the small car.
Who would that be, Wakefield?
I believe it was,
Abbott captures Wakefield before he hits the floor and dies. The sergeant gently lowers him to the ground.